Oftentimes your equations are going to contain fractions to start with, and typically we don't like fractions, and so we want to be able to get rid of them. Well, as long as you have an equation, equal sign, you get to do that. So let's look at that first one. I have 1/2 x plus 1/4 equals 3x over 8. The x, by the way, doesn't matter if it's on the top or out to the side, but unlike the negative sign, it can't sneak down below. That means something entirely different. And that'll come up later in intermediate algebra. For now, I'm just going to look at the denominators I have in my equation, 2, 4, and 8, and try to find the LCD of the numbers 2, 4, and 8. So of course you've all recognized that that's 8. And then what I'm going to do, since I have an equation, I'm allowed to do whatever I like as long as I do it to both sides. I'm going to multiply both sides of that equation by 8. Notice my left side, the left side of the equation had two terms, so I'm going to put it in parentheses so that I'm careful to distribute that 8. So it's 8 times 1/2 x plus 8 times 1/4 equals 8 times 3/8 x. So what happens is that the 2 and the 8, right, cancel. The 2 cancels a factor of 2 out of the 8 and leaves behind a 4 times 1 times x, or just a 4x. The 8 times 1/4, the 4 and the 8 cancel, leaves behind a plus 2. And then on the right side I have 8 cancels the 8 altogether, and I'm left with 3x. So I've taken this equation, 1/2 x plus 1/4 equals 3x over 8, and transformed it into an equivalent, but much nicer to look at, 4x plus 2 equals 3x. So now to solve for x, I need to get all my x terms on one side and get the numbers to the other side. So let's go ahead and subtract 3x from both sides. I'll copy that up here so that we have some room. So we'll subtract 3x from both sides. It gets me x plus 2 equals 0. Make sure you keep the equal sign. Even though there's a 0 over there, you don't want to drop it, because if you drop it, we've gone from an equation to an expression, which we're not allowed to do. And then to move the positive 2, I'm moving the whole term, so I will subtract 2 from both sides. Gets the x all by itself, which was my goal, and 0 minus 2 is -2. And that is the answer to that top equation. If you take -2 and plug it in for the x's in the original, you'll get a true statement. Alright, so my second example, 2/3 times x minus 3 plus 1/6 equals 4. Now you can, at this point, multiply through by that LCD of 6, but I'm going to recommend distributing first to clear parentheses and then seeing what your LCD is. It might change your answer. So the 2/3 multiplies everybody in the parentheses. So I have 2/3 x. Again, the x can live out in front or up top. It doesn't matter. And now I have 2/3 times -3. Let me put that right up here. First of all, times -3 means that's going to be a negative. Now I don't have to worry about it. 3. Again, if you want, you can stick a 1 under that 3, so you make sure. Those 3's are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with just a 2 over 1, or just a 2. And then plus 1/6 equals 4. Again, what a lot of students come up against at this point is, what do I do next? And it can be debilitating, because you can get caught up in the whole what should you do. And the answer is, pick something and just do it. So you could try to add these guys together. I have that -2 that's sort of screaming at me. It's like, I'm a whole number, this 4 is a whole number. I want to put those two things together before I do anything else. You don't have to, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring that -2 over to the other side by adding it to both sides. So now I'm at 2/3 x plus 1/6 equals 6. Okay, so now I'm going to look at all of my denominators. I have a 3 and a 6, so my LCD is 6. I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. So what happens on the left, that 6 is going to distribute, canceling all of those denominators, And on the right, I'm just going to have 6 times 6 for 36. So 6 times 2/3 times x, and then 6 times 1/6 equals 36. Let's see, what do I have here? I'll use my little black pen. If you want to put 1s under those 6's, just so you keep them up in the numerator. All right, so everybody cancels now. So the 3 goes into the 6 2 times. I'm left with 2 times 2x, so that's going to be 4x. The 6 and the 6 cancel. I don't get left with nothing. I get left with plus 1. 36 we already did. Next step, we move the 1. 4x equals 35. Totally out of room. So 4x equals 35. We end by dividing by 4. X equals 35 over 4.